First, before I start, to everyone here, Salamun Alaikum. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين. Tonight we honor Muslim ibn Aqeel alayhi salam. Muslim ibn Aqeel alayhi salam was the cousin of Imam Husayn alayhi salam. Aqeel and Imam Ali alayhi salam were brothers. And he was married to the daughter of Imam Ali alayhi salam, Ruqayyah. And he had brothers that also were martyred in Karbala. Brothers like Abdurrahman, Abdullah, Jafar. All of these names you don't usually hear, but all or nearly all of the sons of Aqeel were martyred in Karbala. And he also had two of his sons that were around the age of 10. They were just children and they got martyred by Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad after their dad was martyred. Muslim ibn Aqeel alayhi salam was also known to be one of the bravest and strongest of all the Arab. So they narrate, based on like historical narrations, that from how strong he was, he can carry a man and throw him on the roof of a house. Now a lot of you guys might be questioning and saying, you know, roofs, how can you throw a man on top of a roof? No, roofs back in the day, like houses back in the day, the ceiling would be around this height. But like he was really strong, and we'll get into the stories later. So Muslim ibn Aqeel alayhi salam, he was sent as an ambassador by Imam Husayn alayhi salam. Because the people of Kufa, as we discussed before, they sent letters to Imam Husayn alayhi salam and they said, we'll help you with your religious revolution. Always remember that Imam Husayn alayhi salam, his revolution was not for politics. It was not so he can become a king or so on. No, his revolution was for Islam. Because Islam was slowly just becoming a name. The sunnah of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was not being followed. The leader of Islam was a drunkard. And that's why Imam Husayn alayhi salam said, I will never pay allegiance to Yazid. So Imam Husayn alayhi salam, he sends Muslim ibn Aqeel. He sends him from Mecca. And this was, he sent him from Medina. This was around Shahr Ramadan. So Muslim leaves, and on his way, his guides died from starvation and thirst. Because back in the day, they obviously don't have GPS. So everyone who wanted to travel to a new city would take a guide with them. So he took two guides with him. And on the way, they both died. They got lost. There was a sandstorm, and they couldn't find water, and they died of thirst. So he continued and he found Kufa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided him to Kufa on his mission. And over there he stayed, based on historical narrations, either in the house of Sulaiman ibn Surad al-Khfaji or Mukhtar al-Thaqafi. Both are known names in the Shia world. Sulaiman ibn Surad al-Khfaji, he was a bit problematic, as we discussed before. Why was he problematic? Because Sulaiman ibn Surad, he was kind of naive. So he was Shia, but he was naive. He would fall for propaganda. He would fall for all sorts of things that were being said around Kufa and other places. So he didn't end up going with Imam Husayn alayhi salam. And he was one of the people who wrote to Imam Husayn alayhi salam, but he didn't end up going. And for that he felt very regretful. So he started a revolution later after Karbala. It was called the Revolution of the Tawabun. the revolution of the repenters. They repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for not helping Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Mukhtar was also another person known for a revolution. Their revolutions were around the same time. Mukhtar chose the other route. Sulaiman just went with no strategy. He just got a bunch of guys to pay allegiance to him, and he went and most of them got martyred. But Mukhtar wanted to play it the smart way, so he can avenge Imam Hussein alayhi salam, in which he did. He ended up killing a lot of the people that took part in Karbala and committed heinous crimes like Shimr and Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad and so on. So he stayed in one of these two people's houses. And so when he got to Kufa, he read to the people of Kufa Imam Hussein alayhi salam's letter. He read Imam Hussein alayhi salam's letter, Imam Hussein alayhi salam's answer to their call. And he called them to pay allegiance to him. So they did. A lot of them did, and the numbers are said to be from around 12 to 18,000. How many people were with Imam Hussein alayhi salam in Karbala? 72. Ahsan. 72 people were with Imam Hussein alayhi salam in Karbala. Over here we see in Kufa, 12,000 to 18,000 people paid allegiance to Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Where did all those people go? With such a strong number. So Nu'man, he hears about Nu'man ibn Bashir. He was the governor of Kufa at that time. He heard about Muslim ibn Aqeel reading out the letter and everything. So Umar ibn Sa'ad and some other guys came up to him and they asked him, what should we do? You know, he's about to start a revolution, so on. Nu'man ibn Bashir, he said, like he didn't have a strong response to it. So Umar ibn Sa'ad and the other guys got a bit worried. They said, if he's not going to do anything about it, this might be successful. And Nu'man ibn Bashir, by the way, he was a Nasibi. He was one of the only Ansar that were Nasibis. What is a Nasibi? It is someone who has hatred for Ahlul Bayt. The Ansar were known for their love for Ahlul Bayt, even more than the Muhajirin. The Muhajirin are the people who immigrated from Mecca to Medina. The Ansar were the original people of Medina who supported the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam after his migration. So Nu'man ibn Bashir, he was one of the only people who hated Ahlul Bayt from the Ansar. But he still didn't have a strong reaction. So Umar ibn Sa'ad and the other guys, they wrote to Yazid. They said, this guy is not doing anything. What should we do? Yazid went to his writer. Who was his writer? It's a man by the name of Sirjon. He was a Roman guy, he was a Christian guy, but Yazid kind of took him as an advisor. So he said, what should I do? He said, send Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad from Basra to Kufa. Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad was the governor of Basra. He said, send him to Kufa. So he's like, okay. He sends Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad to Kufa. Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad has what we call devilry, shaytana in Arabic. He had shaytana. That means he was a politician. He knew how to think as a politician. So when he made his way, what did he do? He didn't wear the clothes he'd normally wear along with the people who came with him. No. They wore the colors of Bani Hashim. They wore the colors of Imam Hussein alayhi salam to make the people of Kufa think what? That it's Imam Hussein alayhi salam who's coming. So he got to Kufa and he walked in with the rest of his guys and everyone's celebrating. As we said before, Kufa's majority Shia. So they're celebrating, they're saying, oh, our Imam came, and they're happy. And so he's seeing all of this happiness. There's a reason why he did this. So he goes and then he enters the castle, and then he uncovers his mask. Like that. You know how sometimes you see some of the Arabs, especially in old pictures or in movies, they have that cover from their turban? Yeah. He took off that cover. Why did he do that? As we said before, he has devilry. He wanted to see how the people of Kufa were. Did they hate Ahlul Bayt? Were they with Yazid? Or were they with Imam Husayn alayhi salam? And he got his answer. Everyone or most people were with Imam Husayn alayhi salam. So he enters and he becomes the new governor of Kufa. Now what did he do to stop the revolution of Imam Husayn alayhi salam? Bribery was one of the ways. So he paid off a lot of people. A lot of the people who wanted to pay allegiance to Imam Husayn alayhi salam, as we discussed before, were not in it because they loved Imam Husayn alayhi salam or they were in it for the religious revolution. They were in it for their own personal reasons. Maybe they don't have a role in Yazid's government, so they said, if Imam Husayn alayhi salam's revolution was successful, I can have a role with him. Other people he killed, like Maytham or Mitham al-Tamar. Other people he imprisoned, like Mukhtar al-Thaqafi and so on. So he basically killed the movement until Muslim ibn Aqeel alayhi salam had no one left. He had no one left after that, except for a couple of people. Muslim ibn Aqeel moved to the house of Hani ibn Urwa. And Hani ibn Urwa was a friend of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, based on like tribal relations and so on. So Hani ibn Urwa was sick at that time. He said, okay, look, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to tell Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad that I'm sick, and he will come visit me. That's something we know in Islam. It is mustahab to visit someone who's sick. So he let him know, and he came. What was part of the plan? He said, okay, I'm going to invite him. He's going to come to my house, and you, O Muslim ibn Aqeel, you're going to go into this room over there, and when I put my turban down 2 times, come and kill him. This is our opportunity. Otherwise, he's going to take over. So Muslim ibn Aqeel, he went to the room and he waited. Hani ibn Urwa, he took off his turban once, he took it off twice. Muslim ibn Aqeel wouldn't come. Then he kept on putting it on, taking it off, and Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad was questioning this behavior naturally. When you see a guy putting on his turban, taking it off, you would question it. But Muslim didn't come out. Then Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, he left. So Hani ibn Urwa, he asked Muslim ibn Aqeel, he said, why didn't you kill him? What prevented you? He said, I remembered the hadith of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, that a Muslim, the summary of the hadith, that a Muslim the Muslim is not treacherous. That means he doesn't kill someone, let's say part of this hadith, he doesn't kill someone from behind. If he has an issue with someone, like Muslim ibn Aqeel had an issue with Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, it's face to face. So that's what shows you that this revolution was not political. If it was political, Muslim ibn Aqeel alayhi salam would have killed him. And they would have had the roles they had and everything. But then afterwards, when we're sitting here and we're diagnosing that piece of history, we would say he killed him in a treacherous way. And that's not part of Islam. But no, now when we diagnose this piece of history, we say no. Muslim ibn Aqeel alayhi salam did not act in a treacherous way. He acted in a way that would please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that should be a reminder to all of you. Whenever you have a certain goal in life, say you want to have some money, say you want to do anything, don't do it in the haram way. In any way, go to the Risala al-Amaliyah, the book of your marja', and read. Read everything about jobs and making money and stuff like that, so you don't fall into sin. There are many people who, for example, bought certain stocks, and after they made money, they realized, I can't buy this stock, it's haram. And so then it's hard to pull your money out. So please make an effort to read your marja''s Islamic book and learn these laws, and not just for money, for anything. So later, you don't get used to something and then realize it's haram and then have that dilemma. Back to what we were talking about. So after that, Ubaydullah realizes that he had Muslim in his house, and Muslim leaves again. Where does Muslim go? He doesn't know anyone anymore. He roams the streets of Kufa at night, and from some narrations I saw, he left Kufa to where Najaf would be now. And then he kind of stood in this area, and he was just wondering what he was going to do. Because imagine, you're in a city, you don't know anyone, you don't have any money, you have nothing. What can you do at that point? So a woman who was living in a house nearby, she saw him. Her name is said to be Ta'a. She saw him standing there, and she said, "Oh man, who are you? Why are you standing there?" Like, you know, someone's just standing outside your house in the middle of the night. You would question it, right? So he said, "I'm a strange man, I don't know anyone here, and I'm thirsty. I need some water." And so she asked him who he was. She gave him some water and she asked who he was. He let her know his tribe, that he's from Quraysh, that he's from Bani Hashim and so on. Once he told her he's Muslim ibn Aqeel, she was heartbroken. She knows Muslim ibn Aqeel and she knows his rank, but she couldn't match that name to the face. So she invited him in, she put him in the guest room, or as we would know nowadays in Iraq, the Diwaniyah, and her son was also in the house. And so she would give him food and leave and so on. And he would see his mom go to the room and back. And so he went to the room to see who was there. He sees Muslim ibn Aqeel. Now this guy, he either was working with Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad or his father worked with Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. So he found himself a gold mine. As a person who's in love with this world and has no level of being religious at all, he found himself a gold mine. He said, "I'm going to go tell Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad tomorrow that Muslim ibn Aqeel is here and he will give me whatever I like." So he went, and Ubaydullah did. He gave him some jewelry and some money and so on. And he sent Muhammad ibn al-Ash'ath. Who remembers Muhammad ibn al-Ash'ath? We discussed him a couple of nights ago. Muhammad ibn al-Ash'ath came from that horrible family where his sister killed Imam Hassan alayhi salam. His father kind of took part in the killing of Imam Ali alayhi salam. His father's sister, his aunt, was married to the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam at first, and then she betrayed him, that horrible family. So he sent Muhammad ibn al-Ash'ath with what I remember to be 1,000 troops. Now 1,000 troops to one man, and that's what history tells us. He sent 1,000 troops to one man. And you'll understand later why he sent 1,000 troops. So he comes and he says, "I will give you al-aman. I will give you peace if you just drop your weapon and you just come with us." So he asked Ta'a to give him his armor. He put on his armor and he said, I will not surrender to you guys. And he fought them. From the narration that I saw, he ripped open the door, and remember we said he had strength, like unnatural strength. He pulled the door open and they started to battle. And he killed 40 people and he injured some, and they started to run away. 1,000 people started to run away from one man. So Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, he sends to Muhammad ibn al-Ash'ath and he says, I sent you to one man with 1,000 troops, and this is what he's doing to you? And Muhammad ibn al-Ash'ath, he replies, you didn't send me to any normal man. Don't forget what basically the summary of what he's saying, don't forget what he did in Siffin. He was one of the commanders in Siffin. Like, this isn't a normal warrior. And so after, they continued to battle him until he was hit above on his eyebrow and he couldn't see anymore. So they took him to the castle. They took him to the castle, and on his way he saw a man giving out water.